It's a really great question. The answer to your question is no. You're not expected to be a teacher for the rest of your life. What we're hoping by participating in this program is that it triggers a commitment to address the problem of the education gap in Australia, to create a lifetime of action. And because this is a particularly odious problem in Australia, we recognise that we need people teaching. We need people leading schools like Jack. We need people influencing policy settings. So a lot of our alumni work in government for the state and federal departments of education, Prime Minister and Cabinet, things like that. We want people supporting their communities. We want people starting up startups that address education. So no, you're not expected to be a teacher for the rest of your life. But like I said, we're hoping that we give you the skills in the 2 years of the program to take meaningful action to address the education gap.
In terms of just the qualification that you gain through the Teach for Australia program, that would mean that you are a qualified teacher here in Australia. And there are certainly some countries where that then is directly applicable to other countries. So for example, I know the UK, that qualification would mean that you'd be eligible there. And there are certainly lots of examples from across the Teach for All network where they have moved to different places, either to teach or to help accelerate the impact of that particular partner organisation. So for example, I was fortunate to be able to move to Australia to take up this role. In terms of can you remind me of the second part of your question around university?
I was just wondering, would this open up more opportunities to maybe get into education beyond Australia later on, like maybe a few years down the track?
Yes, so it absolutely could, yes. And certainly as an organisation, we have a number of different employees that have completed the programme in different countries. So for example, we have colleagues who completed the programme in the US. We have colleagues like me that completed the programme in the UK. We have Teach for Australia alumni working in different partner organisations. So yes, there's absolutely that benefit, depending on that opportunity. With regards to the second part of your question about being able to lecture, the qualification you gain doesn't necessarily give you that opportunity, but I do know of alumni who have gone on to access tertiary education. So I guess kind of my headline is that Teach for Australia certainly doesn't close any opportunities in terms of what you'd want to do beyond the programme. I think it gives you a range of opportunities, particularly with that focus on leadership development. And you are part of this network that you can leverage. But again, it would be kind of the onus on you to seek those out as well. From my perspective, I wouldn't want to necessarily sell our program other routes into the classroom. I think we're all trying to work together to make sure that all children across Australia have access to a great education. I think what makes our proposition unique and different is the experiential learning that you'll have, the fact that you will have the real responsibility of being a teacher, a positive role model, as you're gaining that qualification across those 2 years. And so that does make things quite different. But I certainly I think all of our associates want to learn from existing teachers and leaders within their school environment. And that's one of the reasons that we select off the basis of humility, respect and empathy to learn from our colleagues. And so the only other thing that I would say really makes us different is that mission and vision that we have to ensure that all children, regardless of background, attain an excellent education. And so everybody who applies to our program, everybody who joins our program has that commitment to our mission. And that's what unites everybody. in pursuing a more equitable education system here in Australia. But I might throw out to Nick or Jack in terms of just if you were weighing up multiple options, or what made you.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's really helped enlighten and, you know, go beyond the FAQs on the websites, because there were some fairly specific perspectives I was looking to extract there.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for the question.
No worries.
Did you want to add to that, Jack?
Yeah, just quickly. Well, firstly, I think obviously you get fantastic teachers out of both avenues, TFA or the normal pathway to teaching, I think. And either way you go, it's going to be really challenging at the start, regardless of how much preparation you've had before. Stepping into the classroom is a really big responsibility. It really can be tough when you start. I think for me, the biggest difference that I've noticed, and something that I think needs to be addressed, is the amount of support a TFA associate gets compared to a graduate teacher. Depending on the school you go to, that varies greatly. Whereas with TFA, you've got your mentor, your leadership advisor in place, who comes and observes classes and helps you improve at the start and offers support, which was what Nick was for me. And then also the mentor in schools can be really helpful. And then just the network of TFA, like people you go through the program when you do your intensive at the start, you form those connections, and then when you're really struggling with a maths lesson or assessment, you can shoot out a bunch of emails and get different perspectives. And I think that's still helping me now. But yeah, honestly, there should be more support for starting teachers, regardless of TFA or not, which is something that needs to be worked with at the moment. TFA, that was one of the biggest benefits for me.
So I don't know if you can still hear me. Would it be fair to say that by doing this TFA, which to my knowledge is a 2-year master's program, whilst you're also studying, whilst you're also teaching in a rural school, have I got that right so far?
Yep.
It's in a way you're fast tracking your ability to get to a teaching position, which otherwise for students doing their first degree are taking about 4 years to get ready to do so. So we're essentially able to fast track and get more done in a shorter space of time in terms of being professionally ready than we would if we were just starting a university degree for the first time, like in undergrad. Is that correct? Would that be correct?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting straight into teaching. Like once you've done your intensive after the 6 weeks, you're straight into teaching while you're doing it. You're working 4 days, equivalent of 4 days a week, and then 1 day for doing your study. So another attraction for me was being able to get to go straight into the classroom and see whether teaching was something that I wanted to do long term, rather than doing the 1 or 2 years masters outside of the classroom and then stepping in.
Not necessarily. I'm not sure what the employment numbers are from a traditional pathway. I can say that a high majority of teachers who come out of the Teach for Australia program tend to get offered jobs at their placement school. Jack, you were certainly in that boat, weren't you?
Yeah. So, yeah, me and all the teachers in my area in Shepparton were offered positions out of TFA at their school. Yeah, but I mean, both pathways, you have a master's at the end, so they're the same qualification. It's just different ways of getting there.